What's good, Willie? Finlay-YT here. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream. And today we're doing another Halloween live stream. And also having fun with my subscribers. So if you want to, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and press the bell notification so you never miss any of my videos, and comment down below in the comments below. And without further ado, let's go right into the live stream. Lego. Alright. Let's do this. You can see my cat in the background. Yeah. My little kitty cat. Ah. In the blinding lights. Oh, in the blinding lights. Oh, na 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 na, eh, na 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 na, eh, na 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 na, in the blinding lights. Oh, in the blinding lights. Oh. Na 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 na, eh, na 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 na, eh. Hi Hypertails, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. Shout out to you. Thanks for joining. Hey, can you stay, Eric? By the way, you still don't have any money, do you? You still don't have any money, do you, Eric? That's alright. Let's listen to some scary stories, Eric. Shall we?
Hungry Jack's free limited edition glasses.
Hey Eric, do you want to listen to some Halloween scary stories?
Hungry Jack's glass with any large meal. Collect all 5 colours at Hungry Jack's.
Wow, Eric.
On Halloween, some big abandoned mental hospital in our town is always infested with rowdy teenagers drinking, graffitiing, and making a mess with silly string. Eventually, the town caught wind of it, and one particular Halloween, when my friends Rye, Carl, and I wanted to go exploring, apparently the town barred off every window on the first floor of the building. Security of the perimeter was also ramped up drastically. We found out the hard way after cutting through the woods and seeing security telling a mob of teens to go home. We didn't give up there, though. We snuck around the perimeter through the woods to another side with no people. Then we hopped the fence and started looking for a way in. That's when we found out that all the windows had been barricaded with carbon steel bars. We heard commotion all around us, but managed to stay under the radar. We didn't want to give up, though. And through our determination to find a way in, Rye spotted one window that wasn't boarded up with steel, but rather wood planks. We all had boots on, so kicking the plank in seemed plausible. However, the window was simply too high to kick up at, so Carl and I lifted Rye and actually used him and his boots as a sort of battering ram. The wood was wet and apparently rotted, so it actually snapped rather easily. After that, we simply ripped off the remainder of wood, and boom, we had our way in. We had to hurry, though, before security might see. We gave Rye a boost up since he's the shortest. Then Carl and I leaped up to the ledge and squeezed in. There was junk and debris everywhere, so I took some long, flat piece of wood and covered the window with it to hide our way of entry. After that, we were all alone in a giant abandoned psych ward to explore on Halloween. Carl brought a few cans of spray paint in his backpack that we planned to use. First, we had to find a good spot to use them. Carl also brought 3 flashlights for us since, of course, it was pitch black in there. It was also weird stepping out from the cold, windy outside with a commotion and yelling going on to the scarily dead, silent interior. We planned on going to the top to possibly get to the roof, so we looked around for the stairs going through the dead, silent hallways. It really seemed like we were the only ones who found a way inside. We eventually found the stairs and climbed like 10 half flights of stairs to, I guess, the 6th floor. However, there was one more floor, the roof level, but the stairs in the hall we were in didn't lead up there, so we had to begin our search for the separate stairs to the roof level. As we were in a long, creepy corridor, there was suddenly a huge bang down the hall. We all aimed our flashlights down there, but the hallway was too long to truly see anything all the way down there. Apparently we weren't the only ones in this building. We tried to stay clear just in case it was security, so we went the opposite direction. We checked the whole hallway, then turned down some intersecting hallway area. I was in the back, so I would occasionally just glance because it was a dark, abandoned building. A little after turning a corner, there was a crack in a piece of wood behind me. I turned since I was the only one to seem to notice it, and right there was someone peeking their head from around the corner, looking at us. When I noticed them, they disappeared down the other hall. I called out, "Yo." I'm not really sure if it was directed to my friends.
Hey,
to the person I
Manur.
just saw.
Welcome to the live stream. Shout out to you. School was
My
good.
friend stopped and looked
School was
back.
good
We
today.
went back to the corner where
Eric.
the halls intersected to look down that other hallway, but the guy I saw wasn't there.
Hey, Eric.
My friends didn't know whether I was joking or not,
Oh, God.
but at least now I knew we weren't
Oh,
alone.
God. I
there.
have to skip all the way back to the beginning.
Eventually, seeing security telling a mob of teens to go home. Through our determination to find a way in, actually snapped rather easily.
There we go.
After that,
That's
we
right.
simply ripped off the remainder of what
Okay, chat.
we had our way in.
Before I leave.
We had to hurry, though.
Hey, chat.
Our
Before I
security might
leave,
see.
I'm gonna
Boost up
what's it
since he's the
called? I'm
shortest.
just gonna go to the
Then
toilet and
Carl
I'll
and
be
I
back.
moved up to the
Hey,
ledge in
Eric.
Tony's den.
I'm gonna announce you
It was
another one
junk
of my
and debris everywhere. So I took some long,
what's it called?
flat piece of wood and covered the window with it
Moderators
to hide our way of entry.
for my
After that,
channel.
We were all alone in
Congratulations.
a giant abandoned site
As
going
you
to
see.
explore on Halloween.
Hey, Samir, look what I
Carl
unlocked.
brought a few
Look, two
cans of
characters
spray
I
paint in his
unlocked.
backpack that we planned to use.
Silver Groot
First, we had to
and
find a good spot to use
bronze
them.
and white
Carl also brought 3 flashlights for us,
look,
since of
and
course it
white,
was pitch black in there.
Dr.
It was
Doom.
also weird stepping out from the cold, windy
And
outside with a commotion and yelling
God
going on to
Emperor
the scarily
Doom
dead and
style.
silent interior. We planned on going to the top to possibly get to the roof, so we looked around for the stairs going through the dead, silent hallways. It really seemed like we were the only ones who found a way inside. We eventually found the stairs and climbed like 10 half flights of stairs to, I guess, the 6th floor. However, there was one more floor, the roof level, but the stairs in the hall we were in didn't lead up there. So we had to begin our search for the separate stairs to the roof level.
Well,
As we were
Eric,
in a long,
stop
creepy
joking
corridor,
around.
there was suddenly a huge bang down the hall. We all aimed our flashlights down there, but the hallway was too long to truly
I'll be
see
back,
anything
guys.
all the way down there. Apparently, we weren't the only ones in this building. We tried to stay clear just in case it was security, so we went the opposite direction. We checked the whole hallway, then turned down some intersecting hallway area. I was in the back, so I would occasionally just glance behind me, just because it was a dark, abandoned building. A little after turning a corner, there was a crack in a piece of wood behind me. I turned since I was the only one to seem to notice it, and right there was someone peeking their head from around the corner, looking at us. But when I noticed them, they disappeared down the other hall. I called out, "Yo." I'm not really sure if it was directed to my friends, to the person I just saw, or both. My friend stopped and looked back. We went back to the corner where the halls intersected to look down that other hallway, but the guy I saw wasn't there. My friends didn't know whether I was joking or not, but at least now I knew we weren't alone in there. Eventually, we came to a part of the hall where 90% of the floor was missing, minus a very small strip still left intact. Rai insisted we were going over that, and volunteered to go first. After looking down the hole and realizing it wasn't that much of a drop, I was okay with it. It dropped into what appeared to be a bathroom, or at least what once was a bathroom. To cross, we pressed up the front of our shoes to the wall and grabbed onto a pipe that ran up the upper wall as support. I crossed last, and my 2 friends apparently didn't wait for me, because they disappeared down the hall as I called for them to wait. I then slowly started to cross the extremely narrow bridge between the 2 sides of the hole, and suddenly, I felt something grab the back of my shoe. At first, I thought it was one of my friends messing with me, but that didn't make sense. They couldn't have gotten down there so quickly. I had no free hands to be holding my flashlight, though. My friends were already gone down the hall, so I was almost in complete darkness and couldn't see who or what was trying to pull me down into that hole. I screamed for my life, so loud it could probably be heard throughout the building. My friends came rushing back, and as light once again poured into the hole, the grip on my leg was released, and then there was a sound of running from down below. We didn't try to go down there and fight the guy. We didn't even look down there to see how he could have reached me or if he was even still there. I just forced my friends to come with me all the way down the stairs back to the first floor. But now we had another problem. We forgot how we got in. There was only that one window which wasn't barred up with steel, and we blocked it with wood. We were looking around in a hurry because of what happened. Nobody would play a joke like that. It felt like we were navigating a maze down there on the first floor, looking for that stupid window. Every corner we turned, I was afraid we were going to see that face, peering from another corner. And it happened. Since I was now the one leading the three of us, I was the first to see it. At the end of the hall we were running down, there was that person, hiding half his body behind the wall. This time, as opposed to last time, however, I could actually see that he was wearing a mask. Was it the same person who tried grabbing me through that hole? I don't know, but I still don't doubt it. We turned the other way and ran. We didn't stop running until we finally found that window we entered through. Climbing out was easier than climbing in. By the time we got outside, it seemed most of the commotion going on outside was gone. Security seemed to have kicked most of the people off the premises. We could have found a security guard and warned them of a potential psychopath in the building, but that would risk us getting busted. So instead, we ran back through the woods to the car. The rest of the night, we hung out in a parking lot, and that was our 2016 Halloween. When I was 9 years old, my parents let me go trick-or-treating without them for the first time ever. I went with my best friend at the time, Mikey, who was also 9. We were to be back home by 9 o'clock the latest, though. I think it was getting close to that point when we were still out trick-or-treating. Trick-or-treating was a little worse in our town because properties were so big, so it meant more walking for less candy. We came to one house, which sat on a corner, and was isolated by a set of tall bushes. We rang the bell as usual. I still remember it all so clearly. You're about to find out just why that is, though. An older man opens the door, probably in his mid-50s, thin grayish hair and a mustache. He asks what our costumes are, and talks down to us like we're 6 instead of 9. He asked us if we were with anyone else, and seemed surprised that our parents weren't with us. Then he opened the door completely, to reveal some kind of obstacle course tunnel he'd set up in his living room. It was made of cardboard boxes and Halloween decorations. Admittedly, it looked cool, and when he said in order to get our candy we'd have to make it through the obstacle course, it was very tempting. Mikey and I looked at one another and said okay. The man told us to come in, but he didn't look at us as he said it. Instead, he looked outside as he slowly shut the door. I crawled into that tunnel made out of boxes first, and Mikey followed after me. It was really dark inside of this tunnel, since the man had only some dim orange Halloween lights on in the room. There were fake spider webs and other Halloween toys scattered throughout the box tunnel. It was actually really big and well put together, because we struggled to find the way to the other end. But when we did, it led to a small room, also lit up by orange Halloween lights. There was a note in this room, pointing to a door, saying, "Candy down there." Mikey went to open the door, revealing stairs to the basement. There was more orange light down there. The man was nowhere to be seen, though. Me and Mikey started making our way down the stairs. When we got to the bottom, we saw nothing but a big, empty basement. Then, the door above us slammed shut. We went back up the stairs to try and open it, but it was locked. We didn't know what to do other than cry for help, but we stopped when we heard the doorbell ring upstairs. It rang repeatedly, actually. We listened by the basement door to hear anything. And we heard what sounded like the front door opening, so we started screaming at the top of our lungs. Then there was a commotion outside the basement, like 2 men yelling at each other, before the door in front of us unlocked and opened, and a man and woman came up to us. The woman hugged us and told us to follow them out of the house. We followed the couple through the living room, passing the man in the corner of his room, standing over his freakish creation. The husband called the man a sick freak as we left the house. The couple took us to their house, where the husband called the cops and the wife stayed with us, asking questions like what the man said to get us inside of his house. Apparently, they'd seen us go into the man's house because they live across the street. The cops arrived, and there was an overwhelming amount of evidence for him to be arrested and tried. Of course, at the age of 9, we didn't understand the depth of the situation, but looking back now, we're all happy that those neighbors came to our rescue, and justice was served that night. Halloween has been my least favorite holiday ever since I graduated college and got my own place. I hated the idea of strangers coming up to my house with their kids and asking for candy all day,
what?
but I
Where do you
dealt
have
with
to
it with a
go?
smile on my face.
Where do you have to go?
My property is big, but it doesn't have any
Cockatiels.
fences. And times in the past,
Hi,
I'd seen
Ada.
kids fight each other with silly
Cat
string
that
in my
got
yard.
me. What
Hell, I've
got
even
you,
had kids
Eric?
TP and silly
What
string my
got you,
house.
Eric?
One year, though, late at night, past the hours where the bulk of
What got
trick-or-treaters
you,
were out,
Eric?
I got another ring from the doorbell, and my dog Mika started going crazy, barking as she had been doing all day. I opened the door to a person in a full-body
Welcome,
gorilla
Ada.
costume. Only the face
Hey,
of the gorilla
Ada.
was
That guy was
freaky
being
looking.
mean to me
It was a
again
costume
last
made
night.
to look scary.
He changed his Instagram name
He
to
didn't say trick or treat, just held up a small
Finlay_gay
plastic bag that was filled
122.
with some candies.
I wasn't
Not a lot.
scaring you, Eric.
Since it was
What are
close
you
to
on
the end
about? I
of the
wasn't
night and I had a
scaring
lot of
you.
candy left, I dumped a lot of it
What?
into his bag and waved goodbye.
I didn't scare
He
you.
didn't speak any words to me, though, as he just stood on my stoop, slowly going through the bag, looking at the candies I just gave him. As I shut the door halfway, I stopped and continued to watch him as he looked up to me, but didn't say anything. I asked if he wanted more, but he didn't shake his head or respond or anything. He kept looking at me weirdly, so I
An
just
it
shut the door and
mask?
locked
What
it.
it mask? I don't
I
have
wasn't
an
in the
it
mood to be
mask.
playing games. Plus, what he was doing was extremely unsettling. I went back downstairs to my den to continue watching the
Wait.
movie that I had on. That's when I heard something fall outside.
Wait.
The back
There
door
might be a
was right
clown in
next
my
to my
house.
couch, so I got back up
Let me
and
check
took
on
like
my
5
bed.
steps to look outside. With the back patio light on, I could see a rake that had been leaning on a
It's
pole
not under my
had
bed.
fallen.
Damn,
Given
there's
how
a
I
clown
left
in
it
my
sitting,
house.
it was weird for it to have fallen on its own.
I think there's
Being
a clown in
Halloween,
my
I
house.
did feel the
Shit.
need to go out and investigate.
Damn, because I definitely
threw on
didn't
my
scare you,
slides
and you said
and went
someone in
outside
an
to pick
it
up the rake
mask.
first of all.
Oh,
It was
fuck's
not windy
sake.
out at all, so it shouldn't
Really,
have
right
fallen
before
on its own.
Halloween, there's a clown
Then
broke
I
into my
noticed the door to my
house?
shed was cracked open. I have a huge shed in my
Fuck's
backyard that I
sake.
store all of my outdoor equipment in. I went over to take a look inside.
Hey,
As
Ada.
big as the shed is, the lights
Hey,
haven't worked in
Ada.
there for years. So I had to use the light from my phone screen on full
Hey,
brightness as
Ada,
a
what's your
flashlight of
Discord
sorts.
name?
I didn't know what I was expecting to find, but I certainly wasn't expecting to find a gorilla mask sitting on a big box. I knew right away. The light from the phone screen only traveled so far, but I still dared walk further into the shed until I saw him in the corner. There was the person in the gorilla suit, only now he had his mask off. I stepped a little closer, realized he was facing the wall, just standing motionless. He was also not a kid, rather some old, terrifying-looking man. I didn't know if he heard or saw me yet, so I started backing away slowly. But even though I didn't make a sound, his head suddenly
Ada, if
turned
you're
to
still
face me.
there, what's your Instagram? I
Nearly
mean,
made me
not
shit
Instagram,
myself
what's your
and have a heart
Discord
attack.
name?
I ran back outside and slammed the shed door shut behind me. I then ran back to my back house door and heard the door to the shed open with a lot of force. I didn't look back. I just went inside and locked the door. Then, of course, I called the police to report a trespasser on my property. It figures, however, by the time the cops arrived, the guy in the gorilla suit was gone, mask and all. All they could do was assure me they'd be on the
Oh my
lookout
god.
for someone in a
Oh
gorilla
my
suit.
god. I think I
Then they
just saw
went
the
on their
clown
way.
outside my house. Like,
After
outside my
that, I didn't have
backyard.
much
Just ran
interest in
across,
finishing
jumped
the
over the
movie.
fence.
So I went upstairs
I
and called it
literally,
a
I
night.
swear to God to you,
That
I'm
night
not
in
even
bed,
lying.
I did wake
I,
up to Mika
I
barking
just saw
downstairs, though.
a clown
So I
with an
left my
it
room to
mask
see where she
jumped
was.
over my
She was
jumped
in the
over my
den
fence
at the back
outside
door,
the back of
barking
my house.
ferociously.
I'm not kidding.
I
I'm
took a
not
quick
kidding.
look outside without letting Mika out with me, but I didn't see anyone, and the shed door was still shut. Still, I felt creeped out
At
being
least
out in
he's
that yard
gone.
that night. So I hurried back in and brought Mika up to sleep in my room with me. I fell asleep, not without hearing Mika growling slightly occasionally, which freaked me out a lot. The next morning and ever since, life has been completely normal. That was by far the scariest Halloween I've ever had.
Hey, Eric. Hey, Eric. Are you still there? Eric left.
I moved to my dad's when I was 10. Some friends and I were doing some night fishing on the James River. We were sitting along the shoreline with a nice fire going, accompanied by the usual idle talk and a few beers, when suddenly everyone just stopped talking, like a switch was flipped off. We were all staring across the river and felt as if something or someone was staring back. It was a very uneasy feeling, to which some of the group tried to shake off with typical macho humor, when a blood-curdling sound erupted from the other shore that froze everyone in their tracks. The sound was unlike any other that I had ever heard, and it made every hair on my body vibrate and tingle. The only way I could describe it is it sounded like a wild person with no language skills being gutted alive. Words, just this high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. Nobody moved or said a word. We all just sat there fixed in our stare, when just as suddenly, a second scream was let loose with even more force than the first. By this time, several of us were sprinting to our trucks that were parked a few yards away, retrieving various firearms. When we got back, we all sat there quietly, with our eyes fixed, staring toward the opposite shore, watching the light
Hey,
from our fire
Samir,
reflecting
you're
off
back.
the rocks.
Welcome to the live stream.
We sat there waiting for another scream,
I know
or
you're not
something to
at my
move on the other
house,
side of the river.
Eric.
Finally, a
Eric,
third scream
listen to
came
this.
just as
Eric,
suddenly,
listen to this.
but this time, it was on our side of the river, coming from the bushes about a yard away.
No, you're not, Eric.
We all
I'm
hightailed out
actually
of there,
in my
leaving most of
father's
our stuff behind.
bedroom, looking at the window,
When
and
we
I
got to our
don't
trucks,
see you.
we heard the scream one more time, just beyond the tree line. We all floored it the hell away from there, and never found out what was making the sounds. It was a Friday night, and my friend was picking me up in his car from my
I've got
house.
the perfect
I was
story
in a
to
hurry
tell
since
for
we were running
Halloween.
late for the hockey game in the city. A lot of you guys wanted a part 2 to the clown stories, so I figured with all the
Here we go. Hey, by the way, Eric, when I said there was a clown outside my house, or that broke into my house, I was just kidding. It was me. Watch. I'll show you. I just changed my t-shirt and took off the mask.
This happened when I was 12 years old, an age old enough to be aware of my surroundings and have a pretty good sense of danger, but also still around that age that attracts a certain selection of creeps. We live in a decently busy neighborhood. However, we're on a dead-end block near a forest preserve, and across the street from us is a sump, and if you were to go through the forest preserve, you would find yourself in a small community park. There was this one Saturday night that a mini carnival was being held in the park, and since I wasn't doing anything with friends, my mom suggested that I go check out the carnival. She isn't the kind of mom who tells her kids not to go out past dark. She always let me do my own thing. So I did end up going. I crossed through the forest with a flashlight and eventually passed the fence that led to the park and saw lit-up carnival rides everywhere. A Ferris wheel, a mini roller coaster, some of those big spinning rides, and of course concession stands and carnival game booths. It was late enough where it wasn't very crowded. There was also a big circus tent with the red and white stripes where I saw some people entering. I poked my head inside, where I saw 4 rows of people in the audience, and on this mini stage were 3 clowns performing tricks. One was on a tricycle, one was juggling, and the other was just dancing around. Then the dancing one noticed me poking my head inside the tent, and he skipped over closer to me and started waving his index finger, signaling for me to come closer, or to come onto the stage. I didn't really know. All I knew is I didn't want to do either, and so I walked away. I ran into a friend at one of the carnival games, and I hung out with him for about half an hour. Pretty soon the carnival was closing down, and everybody was starting to leave. I said goodbye to my friends and made my way towards the woods again. I was near the fence when I heard, "Psst." It came from behind me. It was one of the clowns. The clown that was waving me over earlier. He asked me if I wanted to check out the backstage area of the circus tent and some of the cool things the guests cannot see. I said no very quickly and walked into the forest, looking back every few seconds to make sure I wasn't being followed. And I wasn't. The clown just stood there watching me, with the painted-on smile on his face making the situation even more disturbing. When I was out of view, I began to run for a bit before I was confident he wouldn't be able to find me. I was not going to tell my mom what happened because I loved being allowed out whenever I wanted, and I feared that this might ruin that. It's a half-mile walk through the woods. I was probably 3/4 of the way there when I heard it again. Psst. This time, I immediately felt sick when I heard it. I turned and saw the same clown walking out from the darkness of the woods into the light of my flashlight. When he was close enough, I threw the flashlight at him and ran for it in the direction of my house. I heard him close behind me until the road was visible. Then I heard him turn around. When I got home, I was breathing like I had just run a marathon, and my mom was of course concerned. I still didn't want to tell her what happened, so I lied and said I jogged the whole way back. After that, it never came up again. Up until the age of 14, I always had a fear of clowns, ever since I was first greeted with one at the age of 5 at a county fair. On a cold Tuesday night in November during break, my parents were on vacation and my sister and brother were out for the night. My friend, who I'll refer to as B, wanted to come over so that we could walk to the fair a couple blocks away. So he did. We walked to the fair, which happened to be in a big empty parking lot. We walked around for a little while and played some of the carnival games. Then we ran into a clown. He didn't speak, he just smiled, bopped around, and made silly hand motions. He resembled more of a mime than a clown. And he seemed to inch his way closer to us every few seconds. Me and B laughed, B patted him on the shoulder, and we walked away. That was weird, I told B. That was more creepy than weird, said B. We were walking back to my house now on the sidewalks of the quiet Tuesday night neighborhood roads. And that's when we heard something from behind us. It was a pair of footsteps. We turned, but didn't see anyone. This continued for another few minutes. B said he was freaked out and was going to go home, but I convinced him to stay with me and hang out at my place, honestly because I was scared now. We were sure we were being followed. We made it to the front of my house. I dug through my pocket, took out my keychain, and started looking for the right key out of the 3 in the dark. That's when B nudged me to turn around. There was a clown hiding in the next door neighbor's bushes, and he was staring at us. When he noticed that we had spotted him, he emerged from the bushes and started walking over to us. I began to panic, trying each of the 3 keys until the door finally opened. We entered and slammed the door behind us. I called my parents right away, who told us to arm ourselves and hide upstairs. We went up to my little brother's room and looked out the window. There was the clown standing in our driveway, looking up at the window we were standing at, as if he were waiting for us. I shut the blinds and we both ducked down.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Breathing heavily and panicking.
Creepy?
Within 10 minutes, he was gone. I guess he gave up, or at least we think he was gone. For all we knew, he could have been hiding somewhere on the property all night. I'm just happy we made it home in time. If you've seen the news lately, there have been many reports of clowns luring children into the forest. I was one of the first to experience this, and it was utterly terrifying. I want to remain anonymous at the moment, just in case the clown finds out who I am. Anyways, here's what happened. I am 14 years old and live in a small town in South Carolina. The town has a population of around 130 people. Summer was
Hey, by
just
the way,
about over, and I
Smith,
had a summer
if
job
you want to
working
know
at the
what
local
time the
lumber
live
yard.
event starts on
It was a
Sunday
great
for
place to
you,
work. I helped
it's at
customers
12.
load lumber into their vehicles. A pretty
Because
mindless job.
you're 3 hours
Plus, I
ahead
was
of
able
me
to stay
now, so it
physically
starts
fit
at
because of
9
it.
a.m. my time.
The best part is that my
12
house
p.m.
is
your
exactly
time.
1 mile away. Walking to and from work is a daily occurrence. I spent a long day hauling and moving lumber, and my workday was pretty much complete. It was about 9:30 p.m. when I started to walk home. The moon was just starting to light up the road, and the sun had completely set below the hills. There are no other houses between the lumberyard and my house. Our
He likes
town is
my
very
cat.
rural. The road home has hills that peak high enough that you're unable to see what's on the other side until you crest it. The road is skinny with no shoulder, but it was freshly paved. The trees stack one by one behind each other in a row, and vegetation is thick with a few game trails coming out to the road. Crickets and frogs sound like an orchestra. The walk home usually takes about 30 minutes. I've done it so many times that I entertain myself with music. I put in my earbuds, throw on some tunes, and away I went. I was about halfway home when I heard what sounded like a high-pitched cackling laugh. What the hell was that? I said to myself out loud. I took out my earbuds and stopped. I thought maybe it was part of the music, but something about it didn't fit into the song.
Hey, chat.
I
Hey,
stood there
Eric,
motionless,
who's
looking to
this?
hear the same sound again. However, the frogs croaking were so loud that not even a scream could be heard. I thought nothing of it and walked home. The next day, I started my shift at 2 p.m. I started my walk to work
Who's
around
that?
1:30. Nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a beautiful day. I usually look down at my feet and kick any rocks that I see. Having them skip across the fresh pavement was oddly satisfying.
It
I
is
kicked
you,
rock and it
Eric.
skipped
It
across the
is
pavement
you.
and landed next to something
Chat,
strange
he's lying. It
laying in the
is
dirt
him.
on the side of the road.
He's
It
friends
looked
with
to be a
me. He
bright
lives in the
red
same
ball.
city as me.
I picked it up, I gave it a little pressure, and it squeaked. Immediately, I knew what it was. This is a clown nose, I said to myself. What the hell is this doing out here? I kept it and carried it to work to show the other staff
Hey,
members.
Jackson.
I even put it on and gave it some honks. It got a few laughs. The day went on as usual, and around
Eric, it
9:30
is
p.m.
you.
I
Stop
clocked out and
lying,
began
otherwise
my
I'm gonna have
long
to
walk
kick
home.
you from the party.
I forgot my earbuds at home, so I was unable to listen to my usual music. While on my way home, I was able to make out a faint
No,
image of a
not
figure
really.
about 150
Can you tell
yards
me your
away
name?
of what looks like a deer standing in the middle of the road. It was
Can you
hard to
tell me
make
your
out as
name,
the fog
Jackson?
hovered over the ground and the moonlight backlit the animal. As I got within 100 yards, it must have gotten spooked. I could see a rough outline scamper back into the forest. Little did I know this was not a deer, but something more sadistic. I passed the spot in which the deer had taken off back into the woods. As I walked by, I heard footsteps about 20 yards behind me. I thought this was strange, as I have never seen a deer come back onto the road once it was scared off. Costume, but it was very dirty. So dirty
What do you
that the
mean on the
colors
phone
faded into
yesterday?
stains. His makeup ran down his face, and his eyes were black. He
What do you mean
tilted his
it
head
was
to
you
the
on the
side
phone
and said,
yesterday? What do you
"You
mean,
have something of
Jackson?
mine. I need it back." He gave a small little
Wait,
laugh after he spoke.
wait.
I don't have anything of yours, I said as I started to walk backwards. My house was still a quarter mile away. This is when the situation went from odd to terrifying.
Oh,
He said, "Well then, if you don't have my nose, I'm gonna need yours."
damn. No,
He pulled something out from behind his
he
back.
found
I'm
my
not gonna lie, it looked like a
channel.
machete.
No,
I turn around, and with all my might, I take off running down the middle of the
he
road.
found my channel.
I could hear his bare
No.
feet running. I didn't look back as it could slow me down. The blades of what I assumed were
Skyjar,
two
you know
machetes
you can
dragged on
have.
the asphalt.
You know you can make a
I
YouTube
was in
channel for
great shape,
fun, and
but
you
I could
don't have
still
to do
hear
it
his footsteps
for
getting
fun,
louder,
for money.
signaling he was getting closer to me.
He's this
He would even let
bully,
out a little
Eric.
giggle that would feed
Eric,
my
he's
adrenaline
this
even more.
bully who
My
bullied
lungs
me
started
on
to burn. I
Instagram,
began
saying
to
I'm a
crest the hill.
dickhead, I'm
At this
fat,
moment,
I'm
I could
cunt,
hear him
and stuff
almost
like
right
that.
behind me, just about touching
This guy,
me.
Jackson Mine,
And then out of
Skyjar,
nowhere, a truck
he
crests the hill
literally
with his
copied my
headlights shining
Fortnite
on me.
name, Finlay-YT
I waved my
573.
arms in sheer
He
panic.
changed his
He
Instagram name to
stopped.
Finlay
I
_is
quickly
_gay
looked behind me to see nothing. No clown.
122.
I I tell the
He's
man in
calling
the
me
truck what
gay and
happens,
telling
and
me
he
that
calls
he's
the
gonna
police.
he's gonna
I
hack
will
my
never make that
channel.
walk again.
Or
I have no
chat,
idea how
do
the
I
clown
do you
got
want
to
me
that
to kick
location
him? Do
and
you want me
why
to
he
kick him
waited
from
for
the
me.
live stream?
I have never seen any
You
vehicles
know, I'm
parked
gonna
there,
wait. I
nor are
want to
there
wait
any
to
other
see if he
houses
says
besides mine
sorry.
for
If he says
miles.
sorry, then I will forgive
This
him.
was my worst
If he
nightmare come
doesn't,
true.
I'm gonna kick him.
Now I have found out that this is happening to more people. Clowns hiding in the woods and stalking people. Is this a cult? A group of scary clowns with a goal to terrify people?
I'm gonna wait till
I have no idea.
I'm gonna
But I do
wait
know that I'll
till
never be
he
able to walk
says
in the dark
sorry.
or see clowns the
And I
same way
want him to
again.
mean it. I don't want him to just type sorry and he doesn't mean it. Or you don't want to be mean anymore. You want to be back to being nice. Okay. Okay. Fine. Yes. Be nice. Because that's all I want, SkyJ. But please, for the love of God, change your Fortnite name back to SkyJ. From my name to SkyJ. Okay? Okay? And then we can leave all of this in the past. Okay, SkyJ? I mean, I'll unblock you on Instagram. And we can all be nice. Okay? Jackson. Oh my god. It was a play. It was a fucking play. Oh my god. Oh my god. I thought you said you're gonna be nice, Jackson. What happened to that? I see. I knew he was lying. I knew he was lying. I fucking knew he lied. I fucking knew it. He lied. Because if he didn't lie, he wouldn't say dumb bitch. Oh my god, no. Why? Yeah, you just told him that we don't need all the drama. Which means that we want to try and be all nice and get rid of all this disagreement. Oh, Jackson, if you keep being like this, I'm gonna put you in timeout. Or Samir, because he's one of my moderators, he'll put you in timeout. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna find your name query and block you again. I thought you said you wanted to be nice, but it was obviously just a fucking joke. Thank you, Samir. That's exactly why you're one of my moderators. Jesse. I have no idea, Samir. Hey chat, look, it's me when I was young. Look at me then and look at me now. Look at me then, look at me now. Do you see the difference? Samir, do you see the difference? Samir, look at my face shape from now to then. Oh shit. Look at my face shape from then to now. The different shape of my head. Doesn't even look like me. Okay, go out. Out. Alright, chat. Check this out. This is another one. This is another. This is my old dog. Before she died. She died. She got paralyzed. Chat, she got paralyzed. Alright, chat, let's watch part 2 of the clown video.
Haven't played Crossout before? Now is the time. Crossout is a free action-packed game where you craft, write.
A lot of you guys wanted a part 2 to the clown stories, so I figured with all the clown stuff still going on, this would be the best time to do one more of these. Three days ago, I had an encounter with one of those crazy clowns that everyone's hearing about lately. Most people are running into them on the road in the safety of their cars. I, however, had a much more disturbing encounter. I live in Massachusetts. My property is enclosed by trees with a long, winding driveway leading to the road. During the day, I was cutting down a drooping branch from a tree above the entrance to my property. That's when I first saw him. A clown. Or a guy dressed as a clown, I should say, walking down the side of the road and stopping very slowly right at the center of the start of my driveway.
Are you still there?
He very gradually turned his head to face me, body still facing the road. I had to give him credit. His clown costume was terrifying. The mask looked horror movie status. I chuckled to myself and smiled in his direction. Judging by everyone else's experiences, I was expecting him to start bluff charging me, but he didn't. He just turned his head back to the road and kept walking. I would have said something, but I guess I just didn't care enough. That night I did my usual locking up of the shed outside and shutting off all the lights. When I got inside to start making dinner, I thought I heard something coming from outside. I opened the kitchen window a little more, but all I could hear was the wind and leaves blowing. I shut the window completely now and resumed making the food. I almost had a heart attack when there was a heavy, aggressive knocking coming from that same window I just shut. My whole body immediately went into panic mode. I felt every body part shaking, and my heart thumping twice as much than usual. I took the knife I had sitting on the counter and brought myself to look out the window. But it was too dark to even.
Who's this?
This gameplay is for mature audience only. If you are the age of under 18, please leave this channel. Thank Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. I am here with a friend. He is called TW Alpha 1998. Please, yeah.
Oh, you and Popcorn were watching me smear. That's cool.
1 second. Keep talking.
Alright, I'll stop. But I subscribe to you, Eric. Because you subscribed to me, I subscribe to you.
I gotta fix that.
There, I subscribe to you. Okay?
Even see past the glass. Once again, I struggled to sum up the courage to do something I felt needed to be done, which was this time to
Eric,
turn on the
I
patio light
subscribe
and
to
go
you.
outside. So I walked over to the back sliding glass door in my kitchen, put my finger under the light switch, afraid to flick it, waiting for a good 5 seconds, and finally did it. The horror I was afraid to experience out there came prematurely before I could even step outside. The patio light exposed the same clown from earlier, standing right outside the sliding glass door, head tilted like a dog, staring at me behind the ugly mask. I could have and probably should have opened the door there and then and stabbed the guy, or at least threatened him. But it's so easy to think back and say I should have done that. Instead, I simply ran upstairs to the telephone where I called the police. I could hear banging on the heavy glass door downstairs all the way up from my bedroom. And it got worse as the clown started pounding with both hands repeatedly as opposed to the slow and steady knocking he was giving before. It got the worst when the clown started screaming like a psychotic asylum patient over the sounds of the pounding on the door. I felt like I was going to die. Literally every minute that went by that the cops hadn't arrived yet felt like 5 minutes.
I don't have any more
V finally came to a stop when I heard a familiar voice outside yelling, "What the hell are you doing? And get the fuck out of here." I looked out the window to see Marv, my neighbor, walking over with a rifle in his hand. When I went outside to greet and thank him, he told me the clown ran off into the woods. The cops arrived briefly after that and took down my description, did a quick 5-minute sweep of the property, and left. Marv let me crash at his place for the night just in case. We don't play with shit when it comes to our well-being and safety.
Hey,
So yeah,
Sky
at the time
J
I'm sharing
Jackson
this,
Mine
that was only
joined our
3
live
days
stream
ago,
and started
amidst of all this
swearing at
clown
us.
horror.
And he lied, saying he said in the chat that he was going to be nice. He lied and started swearing and telling us to fuck
There was
off.
this Instagram account made, and it was supposedly made by clowns who threatened to come to my school. Of course, it was taken seriously and police were called. Even the SWAT team arrived to my school. The time the clowns said they would come was around 11 a.m. So by the time 11 o'clock came around, everyone was freaking out. I, on the other hand, along with a couple other friends, knew it was probably fake and wasn't going to happen. I even heard a story where someone saw a clown at the local pool and chased a peer of mine around. I didn't believe it though. But anyways, at around 11:15, I heard the panicked voice of my vice principal come over the loudspeaker and say, "We are now going into lockdown. Please shut the doors and lock the windows." I started out, but kept my cool. We all huddled in the corner of the room out of sight from the door. The normal procedure. We had to stay there for an hour and a half, just waiting in silence.
Oh my
vice
god,
principal's
he's
voice
back.
eventually came
He's
onto the
back.
intercom,
Sky
and he
J
said
is
we were free to
back.
go home since it was the end of the day. To say the least, I was relieved.
Sky J
I
is
gathered my
back.
things
Oh,
and started walking home. My house was about a mile away from the school, so the walk was about 20 minutes. I jammed my earbuds in about a minute into the walk. I have to walk past a couple strips of forest, which today of all days kind of freaked me out, but I didn't really let it bother me
he's
too much.
back.
About 5
Because
minutes
he was
into
only
my
timed
walk,
out
I
for
was passing the
300
forest when I
seconds.
saw someone wearing very bright colors. I looked away, telling myself it's just in my head, but I looked back and saw it again. It was wearing white and yellow polka-dotted baggy pants, except its entire outfit was ripped and dirty. It was wearing a yellow
Jackson,
button-up
why
top kind
can't
of
you
thing.
just be
That
nice?
was all
Why
ripped
do
and
you
dirty as
have to
well.
be mean all
It
the
had a mask
time?
on
Why
with
can't you
red
just
hair
be
puffing out of it.
nice?
Its head was tilted, and it was just standing, staring at me. It
Please,
started to
why?
laugh
Please,
hysterically,
Sky
and then
J.
started running towards me. I
Sky
screamed
J,
and dropped my
please,
bag and
be
ran back to the
nice.
school to find a police officer there. I told him what happened. He cursed under his breath.
Oh,
Him and a bunch of other police
that's
officers
being
got in
nice,
their
calling
cars to
me a
go drive
bitch.
over there.
That's what
Truthfully,
you
I'm not
refer
sure
to
if
as
the clown
being
got caught or
nice.
not, but
I
would
think
sure
you got
like to
it
hope that he did.
twisted. I think you.
Rumors went around school that
I
a clown
think you're
did
thinking
actually
that
walk up to
nice
the
is
front door of
mean
the
and
school,
mean is
threatening to
nice.
come in. I didn't see it, so I don't know for sure, but it's possible that this was the same clown.
You see, you're not being
The
nice
police
at
went on a
all.
manhunt for him around the area I told them about.
You're
The clown
being
was likely gone and
mean. You're
hiding
being
in
a
the woods.
bully.
That means this clown remains free to scare and terrorize more people.
I just want
along
you
with
to
the
be my
rest.
friend again, Jackson. Why can't you just be nice?
Friday night, October 7th, 2016.
Thank you, Eric.
It's like 1 in the morning.
Thank
Walking
you,
home from my
Eric.
friend's house a little buzzed. He lives almost a mile away. I stop at the T intersection of two roads and the trail that leads into the woods.
Eric, thanks.
There's no lights in there, but it's a definite shortcut that I always take during the day.
Eric,
Admittedly, I was wary of going in there simply because I found it creepy at night. I figured I'd save a good 10 minutes cutting through there instead of walking down the curvy roads.
Thank you, Eric.
So I went for it.
I couldn't need
Using
him
nothing but the
bullying
light
me
on my
any
phone, I
longer.
began to navigate the woods. The only reason going through the woods was quicker was
It's
because the
okay,
roads in
Eric.
my neighborhood wind around a lot, and you can't really just find a straight road to cut through in my house's direction. Around 50 yards into
I'll
the
be back.
woods, I heard noises coming from up ahead. It sounded like more people. Normally, I wouldn't find this too weird. It was a Friday night, though, and sometimes kids would go into the woods to smoke after all. But still, with the thought of all this clown stuff going on, especially in my area, I feared for the worst. I covered the light from my phone as I was trying to turn it off, and tiptoed around a big tree to hide. When the sounds got closer, it became obvious that they were footsteps, just as I feared. In the back of my mind, I knew the odds of running into clowns in the woods was next to none. I just also wanted to avoid contact with anyone in the woods at this hour. It soon became apparent that there were two people walking by. I tried to remain as quiet as possible, hoping they didn't see the light. These two people weren't talking at all, though. I could only hear their shoes hitting the leaves on the trail.
So serious.
That is, hitting the leaves up until around where I was standing. Then they stopped.
Hey, John.
I
Welcome
got
to the
that
live
painful
stream.
feeling in
Shout
my
out
heart
to
and
you.
stomach area that you get whenever something shocking or scary happens. I daringly stuck my head around the tree, and I could see two people standing there in the darkness, and I immediately recognized their bizarre attire. These were two clowns. It didn't feel real. I even imagined this exact scenario playing out in these woods, and here it was happening now. I knew they would have seen the light. That's why they were stopped. They knew I was hiding somewhere. The question was,
Eric.
what were they going to do to me?
Eric, that wasn't
It was the most tense
SkyJ. That
moment of
wasn't
my life.
Jackson. He was a
However,
friend
it
of
only
mine.
lasted
Why
maybe
did you
20
put him in
seconds.
timeout?
Then I heard the two clowns continue walking down the trail. When they were far enough away, I
John
hopped up and
Newman,
ran
if you
for
can
the other
hear
side of the
me, I'm
woods,
so
not caring
sorry.
how much noise
My
I
friend
made.
accidentally put you in
My house was
timeout.
across
I'm
the street
sorry.
from the woods, so as soon as I made it across, I was basically home. My mom was already asleep by
sorry,
then,
John.
so I went around back and unlocked the back door with our secret key. I made a point of locking the door right away and shutting the blinds. I walked over to the living room, about to shut those blinds,
That's alright, Eric.
when I noticed the clowns across
Hey,
the street,
Eric, do you like my
standing by the edge
mask?
of the woods,
The
facing my house.
Joker from the Dark
I couldn't
Knight
tell if they
movie,
were actually
Heath
staring
Ledger.
at me or not, but they were just still like statues, and I'm sure they were trying to scare me. I woke my mom, and she went to go check it out. But just like in any horror movie, the clowns were gone, meaning I was the only one who actually saw them. I tried to go to sleep, and given that I was still buzzed, kind of helped ease me into a sleepy state. In my bed, after facing the wall for a while, I got uncomfortable, so I flipped over to the other side, where I had a view of my whole room. Even though I was tired, I had trouble keeping my eyes closed, simply because I couldn't stop thinking about those clowns. What if they were out there right now? The curiosity was killing me to the point where I wanted to get up and look out my window. The sound of the thud on the window was like the sound of death to my ears. I knew what it was, and I didn't move. I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. I ignored it. Still not moving an inch. The thuds were getting more intense, and I feared they would break open the window. I finally took a look at the window, and under the blinds, the section that wasn't blocked, I saw a clown with his head to the side, looking at me laying in my bed. That was all it took for me to break down screaming, running to my mom's room and crying to her that there was a clown outside my window like a baby. She took me very seriously and took the pepper spray she had under the bed, marched over to my bedroom window, and once again, the clown was gone. My mom believed me, of course. She is my mom, after all. She didn't give me some cliched horror movie bullshit like I'm just seeing things or I had too much to drink. No, she really believed me. In fact, she called the cops the next day and reported that there were clowns in the area harassing us. But that wasn't the end of it. Last night, I once again saw a clown standing across the street by the woods again, staring at my house. I still feel sick and paranoid about all of this. However, I'm planning on getting a picture or video of it the next time it happens to prove this is all true.
I just reported Jackson Martin. on YouTube. Let's watch not Mr. Nightmare. Let's watch someone else. I haven't seen this guy. Unit hashtag 522. Let's see if this is scarier than Mr. Nightmare. Oh fuck.
This happened just last night. I live in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska, and my older cousin Odo and I were driving back home from the Home Depot in town, traveling at about 50 miles an hour down a long stretch of road with fields on either side. Not joking when clowns start appearing out of the tall grass to our left, at least 9 or 10 of them, each of them looking at us. They all put out their arms and acted like they were going to grab the truck. I was at the wheel, and Odo called out, "Holy shit, really?" As we began driving past a few of them, One of the clowns, either because he was more daring than the others, or just couldn't see very well in his mask, got way too close to the road, and I hit the brakes. Not to stop the car, but to slow it down. When they saw us slowing down, they made to rush the truck. Alarmed that they were suddenly swarming us, I instinctively hit the gas again. I slammed the front right side of the truck directly into one of them, knocking him down against the pavement. Immediately, all the other clowns started yelling and cursing, not really making to help their friend, but instead smashing their fists against the outside of the truck. Odo told me to put it in park, which I did, and he pulled a handgun from under the passenger seat. It was my uncle's gun, but I knew for a fact that it wasn't loaded because the firing pin was broken, and the gun wasn't able to fire. He rolled down the window and pointed the gun directly at one of the clowns. The clowns immediately backed off. Then he yelled, "Give me a reason!" For a moment, there was just silence as the clowns backed away a few steps, but not enough for me to hit the gas and safely floor it out of there. Odo gestured to the clown on the pavement. "Is he alright?" The clown on the ground started crawling with his hands and knees and was shuffling away. Another clown carefully helped him to his feet. "Make a space." Odo gestured with the gun to the clowns in front of the truck, and they immediately parted. I put the car into drive and slowly started edging forward. "We have a dash cam, so don't bother calling the cops." Odo kept the gun pointed at all of them until we were far enough away, then rolled the passenger window back up. Seeing all those clowns clumped in the middle of the road in my rearview mirror was one of the strangest things I had ever seen. Odo placed the gun back under the seat before muttering that he hoped that the headlight wasn't cracked.
Sure you do,
When we got home, we opened some beers and watched Game of Thrones, and didn't even bring it up to my uncle when he got home. We didn't actually have a dash cam, but figured that there was no way for the clowns to know that for certain. I hope they learned something from this, because next time, I don't plan on hitting the brakes. Number 2. The following story is told from the point of view of a female. Last Thanksgiving, my boyfriend and I loaded our 2-month-old daughter into our car and drove from Miami to Naples to visit my family. Being new parents, we were extremely nervous about taking such a lengthy trip with the baby and packed for every possible scenario. We left shortly after 12, my boyfriend behind the wheel, and we hit the highway, which was swollen with holiday traffic. After about an hour of driving, the baby became fussy, and we pulled over at a rest stop to feed her and change her diaper. While I was changing her, my boyfriend stood outside the car stretching, and suddenly called my name. Peering outside the car, I looked across the street in the direction he was pointing. There was a clown with a purple star painted over his face, and wild, crazy, unkempt black hair, and a purple and white checkered outfit standing on the opposite side of the parking lot, just waving to people as they pulled in and out of the rest stop. I chuckled and returned to what I was doing, unbothered by the clown, figuring it was just part of some kind of promotion. As we pulled out of the station,
thank you,
the clown
John. I
waved at
really
us,
appreciate that.
and I gave a lazy
That
acknowledgement
means
back.
so much to me,
Just before my boyfriend
John.
took his foot
That
off the
means
brake
so
and eased
much
into
to me.
traffic,
Thank you for
the clown
that.
gave me the most hungry,
I'm
sinister
so happy
smile
that
I had ever
that
seen,
you are such a
and shouted,
Thank you,
"You
John.
look
Thank
amazing
you.
draped over my lap." Even through the closed
Thank you,
car
John. I
window,
really
I heard him
appreciate
clearly
that.
and said, "Wow,
Hey,
what a
John.
creep." As we
Let me
drove
show you
away,
what
I
I'm
repeated
wearing
what
for
the clown had
Halloween.
said to my boyfriend,
And
who
Eric, I
hadn't
don't
quite
think
heard
you've
it,
seen it
and
either.
for a few minutes he was dead set on turning around to confront him. But I told him it wasn't worth it, as we still had a long drive ahead of us. We arrived in Naples shortly after 2:30, and by then, I had already forgotten about the incident, and didn't even bring it up to my parents. We had a great time at my parents' place, and ended up leaving close to 11:30 at night, much later than we had intended to. My parents tried to convince us to stay, and while we had plenty of stuff for the baby, we hadn't packed any overnight things for ourselves. So we decided just to commit to the drive. We figured that there would be a lot less traffic, and it would take a shorter amount of time to get home. My boyfriend had been driving for about 45 minutes when he asked me if I wouldn't mind taking over, as he was having a hard time keeping his eyes focused. I told him to pull over at the next rest area, and I would take the wheel. After a few minutes, we see a sign for a rest area and pull into it. It wasn't the same rest stop as